Hey everybody, welcome to the Ileostomy Guy podcast. I'm your host Austin. I'm reaching out to Carson and Haley Kelly. They are in California. Carson has an ileostomy and he's got Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. He is a stud trying to draw awareness at 11 years old to ostomies, living with them, and for his rare illness, which we'll learn a little bit about. So I'm looking forward to talking to him. We'll see kind of what Haley goes through as a mom. I'm interested to hear her take on helping take care of him when he's unable and when he's really sick and in the hospital. We'll see kind of how it goes. How you doing, Carson?
I'm doing good.
How's today going?
Good. It's going good.
Is it a good day? What do you call a good day? Tell me about it. What's a good day for Carson?
No problems. Like, just relaxing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, wake up in the morning and you feel good. Like,
Yeah.
no aches and pains.
Yeah.
No, like, mass explosions in the middle of the night.
Yeah. I have a joke that I tell I'm the seventh of 8 kids, Carson, and my older brother and I, he's 15 years older than me, and we have this little joke we pass back and forth to each other. Like, if he's got something, he has some health problems also, some big ones. And if he's got something wrong, I'll ask him how he's doing. And if it's, maybe his left foot, he'll go, well, I know I got a foot. Because usually if everything's going well, you don't feel it, like you don't know. But so like that's a good day for us when we don't realize we have a body part, when everything's functioning just okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Well, Carson, thanks for coming on to my podcast. I appreciate it. This is really cool. And you too, Haley. This is awesome.
Thank
Thank
you.
Yeah, man. So, okay. Tell me a little bit, and both of you can go, and when I ask questions, we'll just kind of feed back and forth, but I really just want to have a conversation about your illness, having an ostomy, dealing with it, and kind of my experience with it, and just kind of how you battle day to day so that maybe some people out there listening can get something from your journey and what you're kind of doing and how you're handling everything. Cool?
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay. So, and I don't know I've researched it, but I'm not really good with like I'm not good at looking up stuff, and I don't even look up stuff for myself, but so I've looked up what you have and I've researched it, but I want to hear your take on what was going on before you were diagnosed. What started leading to what were you going through physically that made you start going to the doctor and realizing that you have it's called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
My voice.
Little crack in his voice. Yeah, so it started before he would remember. So pretty much straight out the gate when he was born. I'll tell that part.
Yeah.
And then he can catch up for where he remembers.
Okay.
Right when he was born, he didn't pass the meconium right away, which is like that first go into the bathroom.
Yeah.
And so we knew there was an issue kind of straight out the gate, but everything that they were testing him for was coming back negative. Like he was fine, but he was instantly constipated, like from a newborn. So he had his first x-ray, he was 6 months old. And so pretty much we battled constipation for about 5 years before they started looking for anything outside of it just being like a bowel thing. And so it actually wasn't until his brother was born, he has a 4-year-old brother, that we even got the Ehlers-Danlos diagnosis, and it was from him because he was dislocating. And so then they put it all together with they were calling it a megacolon and an inactive bowel. And so they couldn't ever like come up with like why it was that way, because usually it goes along with some other like medical type or something, and he would test negative for it.
Yeah.
So then you can go from there. You went to the doctor and they diagnosed you. Well, they diagnosed Bryson.
I don't understand. Like, I don't really know. Really, I don't really know.
So they gave Bryson his diagnosis, and then it was like the light bulb went on for the doctors that, oh, maybe we should test him for it. And come to find out, it's manifested in his colon and a few other organs. And for a while, they thought it was in his heart, but he just had his EKG and EEG, and the valve that they look at has stopped growing. So that was really good. So they're thinking that his heart should be good at this point, which is really great. Yeah. So he has it. There's all different forms of EDS, and there's like 13 different types of it. And Carson's is not only in your joints, but it's also in his organs.
Okay.
So.
Oh, wow.
I'm just like, what?
So, first off, Haley, he's your firstborn. Straight out the gate, him being constipated and having this problem, trying to get him to go to the bathroom before you can leave the hospital, trying to figure this all out. That had to have been brutal.
Yeah, it was really stressful. But, first time mom, you don't really know. Thankfully, I didn't understand really at that point what we were up against. There were some tests run, and they're like, no, you know what? He's negative for all these. Go home. And so, yeah, it was having that newborn infant stage of, why is my kid not going to the bathroom? Oh, it must be, the formula or what I'm eating or whatever, It didn't really start to get extremely stressful until he was about, I'd say, 3. And that was because now they're starting to potty train, he potty trained super easy because we were only battling one, and so, but once they're getting in that stage of being able to control it themselves, we had one doctor that was just awful, who looked at him and I went into the hospital, or the specialist, and he looked at him, and it was a gastro doctor, and he said, nope, he's just a spoiled brat and he's withholding, without even like touching him, anything. And I was irate because I knew my kid. I knew that he wasn't that way, and so that part was really stressful. I felt like I still do, like you're constantly fighting a battle for something that nobody can see. And then you start to feel like, am I creating this? Am I making this a bigger deal? But your mom heart knows that this isn't normal,
Right.
So that was probably the hardest, the constant fight for me with the doctors, and trying to get somebody to just hear me and listen.
I've been thinking, with all this COVID stuff going on as we battle trying to deal with the virus, and all the doctors and professionals are dealing with and studying it and everything. And there's so much pressure on doing exactly what the doctors say. There's a whole lot of pressure on, if they think we should keep the country shut down for any period of time, that's what we should do because the doctor says so. And I've thought over and over, I think to myself, doctors are wrong all the time. My entire journey is experienced with doctors being wrong with this or that. And all my friends and people I know deal with doctors being wrong. They run a practice. That's what they do.
Right. Exactly. They're just, trial and error is what I feel like. So.
Yes, that's right. Especially with drugs and treatments and all that stuff. And you really end up, when it comes to all this stuff, I think to myself, we have to be the CEO of our own health in so many ways. Carson, don't forget that. You got to be the CEO of your own health. That's your job. You're a businessman. You just don't know it.
It's so true. That's really great advice. It is so true.
Because, like with me, there's no one, because we're human beings, everyone's the the disease might be the same, but the human being is different. And so the way we experience the problem, the illness, is going to vary. What triggers, what calms, all that stuff is going to vary. So it's kind of like raising kids. Everyone's kids are different. And so you take the advice, everyone thinks they know, but if you could just take everyone's advice as advice and add that to your repertoire of information, and then be able to diagnose and see things and find patterns in your own world and start trying to be the CEO of your health so that you can kind of take control of it. That's super important.
It is. And I've been talking to him too over the years about, like, you know, we try to teach these kids to be respectful, and you listen to adults, and, you know, you what they say, you need to listen to and do, and blah, blah, blah. But at some point too, it's okay to question things.
Yeah.
So if the doctor says this is what we're gonna do, and you don't feel like you're comfortable with that, especially as he gets older and I'm not there to be like, no, I'm not sure we're there yet, you know, or whatever. It's okay to question things and know yourself and know that I don't think this will work, or I'm scared for the path that will take me down.
Yeah.
So it's okay to do that, but you have to still be respectful.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. Like in my world, in the financial world, I use the line all the time that I'm the best second opinion in the business, because if the people you are seeing right now, and if the doctor you're seeing right now is doing what he's supposed to be doing, you're going to be validated by the second opinion, and you should get more information and be able to bring it up and have a conversation about it, even if you learn something new and go back to who you were with, which is the reason for doing it. There's serious validity in doing that and being able to go, yep, okay, I feel good, because we have to really reference back to our experience and how we're dealing with it, because we change so much.
Yeah, definitely, huh? Yeah.
So when did you get your ileostomy, Carson?
Around 3 years ago, and then I had a cecostomy for about a year.
Before it.
Yeah, before it.
So you were like 8 when you got your ileostomy, but before that you had, what's it called?
A cecostomy.
What's that?
Like it's a little button that's in your stomach, and then it's connected to your colon, and then it puts fluid in so it can help you go poop.
Yeah, so
That's awesome.
go ahead.
No, I was just saying, dude, I'd never even heard of that. That's awesome.
They're super weird looking, and the only reason we know that they're really weird looking is because some kid on the playground pulled his out when he was hanging on the monkey bars. So it's like this coil that they take. Yeah, imagine that phone call from the school. Haley,
try to push it back in.
Yeah.
And the kid came up and said, "Oh, are you okay?" And then he just walks away. And I'm like, "Oh, look, he just walked in."
Yeah.
So it's like this coil with this like trap door on the outside of it that sits flush on his stomach, and you open that little door and you stick like one of those IV bags.
It's not fun.
Yeah. We had one of those bags at home, and so you flush him with whatever concoction. I mean, that was the year from hell for us because we were just trying trial and error of medications to flush. So it goes directly into like an opening in your colon that flushes out that section. So you take this huge bag every night, and he would have
and then they added the worst thing in the world to it.
The stuff that you have to take before you have like a colonoscopy or whatever.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
That stuff.
And
At
then,
least he didn't have to drink it though.
Yeah, well, I'd rather drink it than it actually going in and then going.
Yeah.
That was like
painful.
It was horrible.
Dude, what's that feel like to flush that stuff through?
It's like it burns your butt. It's like what I fell off my bike and it felt like that.
Yeah.
Now I got a hole in my butt now.
Yeah, it was a lot of cramping, and it was a year of nightly like terror because it just caused all those cramps. Like you take like that Dulcolax or whatever that induces like the contractions. That's what they were trying to do, is like induce the contractions, because his colon doesn't contract to move everything down. Well, that just induces like major tummy cramps. Yeah. And so every night it was crying, screaming. I mean, it was just awful. Yeah. So then we got away from that, and that's when he got his ileostomy, was a year later.
Does your brother, his name's Bryson?
Yeah.
So does he, how's his EDS?
His strictly in his joints. So he dislocates super easy, pops, and they're just real pliable. Like they just are super bendy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So his so far is not, like, from what they can tell, is not in any of his organs. He has Crohn's.
Okay.
So. Yeah.
Well, you guys can be incredible support for each other, man. You might love and hate each other at different points in time, but you guys are battling together right next to each other. That's amazing.
They're pretty sweet to each other. When one of them's having, like, pains or something, they can relate to each other, and it's nice.
Yeah. My brother and I, he's 18 months older than me, and we have this, nobody calls my brother a jerk but me kind of, that's the kind of relationship we have. We're hard on each other.
Exactly what I do.
Yeah. That's cool. So how did you tell me about what led up to the ileostomy? Not what led up to it, but just your thinking in regards to preparing for it, both of you, where your head was at in regards to preparation.
Oh, okay. We looked around on YouTube and we couldn't find anything. And then my mom's light bulb flicked on and she's like, oh, we can make a YouTube channel about this. And then that's how this whole thing started. And then I was feeling like alone when I didn't see any kid that was on there and didn't have this. And now leading up to this, I just see a bunch of kids having it, and I never knew that was possible.
Yeah.
And I thought I was just alone in that longest, 30 years.
That lesson that you learned right there, you'll be able to look back at over and over going forward in life, man. That's huge. Sorry, what were you going to say, Haley?
No, just going off of what he said, like when we found out that he was going to get his ileostomy, we knew nothing about them. Well, he was really happy he was getting rid of his C-costomy. So at that point, he didn't care what he was getting.
Yeah. I was like, okay, just do it. I don't care. Let's just get this over with.
Yeah. But we went home, and I'm the type where give me all the worst case scenarios. I want to know it all. That way, when that doesn't happen and it's better, we've already prepared for that. And that's just my outlook, to just help me just be ready for it all as a mom. Yeah. So we went home, and I never, through Carson's medical stuff, as long as he could understand, I've never lied to him. So he'd ask me, Mom, am I going to have a shot? I'd say, yeah, probably, or whatever. So when we went home right after, we were both kind of a little bit nervous because we didn't know what it was. And so, I mean, I knew what colostomy bags were, but not as far as like, what does lifestyle look like for a child? Because all I knew about was like older people who have them, because I'd worked in like an assisted living home or, something like that. And so we didn't know what life for him was going to look like, because he's so active. He plays sports, swims. I mean, he's just a regular kid. So right. We went to the internet. All that was coming up was like older people, and they were just stationary. So we're like, is his life over? Like his active life over? So then I'm like, let's go on YouTube. I'm sure that we can YouTube something. Not a single child could we find. Yeah. And so that was when him and I, we were talking about it. And I'm like, Cars, you have this ability to speak. Like one-on-one with somebody, he has this ability to just talk to you about whatever. And so I said, it would be really cool if you document. He just has always wanted to do YouTube. And I just thought this would be like a positive way to do it. And he was all on board. Well, but we didn't start it for a while, his YouTube
like
channel.
Maybe a year.
Yeah.
Maybe.
We waited till he turned 10 to finally allow him to do that.
So they surprised me. I woke up and it was one day.
Your birthday.
It was my birthday, and one day before school, and I was opening my presents, and then I just get this card, and it said, I can't remember what it said, but it was like, you have been picked to be on YouTube or like something, and it was
I had created his first video for him of videos that I had taken, throughout the year before.
And then after that, maybe another year forward, then I was on the news, and then that, and it was
so you're good about, you like to get your story out there and talk about it now, huh? Yeah.
I'm looking it up. What's your YouTube channel?
Talk the Walk.
What is it?
Talk the Walk.
Talk the Walk.
Yeah, but then put Carson, because then there's a lot of music videos that come up for some reason.
So it is called Talk the Walk with Carson Kelly. And the reason for that was he wanted to talk about his walk in life, is how he came up with little.
I found it. Got a subscriber.
All right. We kind of don't do very much on there anymore because it takes so long to edit these videos. And so now with Instagram and him having his Instagram, it's like that instant gratification where I'm not sitting there trying to edit stuff for hours with a 4-year-old and him. And it just kind of got to be too much. So we haven't done a video for quite a while, but
2 years. I was on my YouTube page this morning.
Oh.
So how'd you do with changing your ostomy initially? Did you have to help a lot, Haley? And Carson, how'd you do immediately after realizing now having an ostomy as opposed to what you had before?
Well, I just get these notifications.
Something weird just popped up on our camera. We both were like, there's an invasion.
I get these notifications that pop up. Ow.
Oh, sorry.
So at first I didn't have to change my bag for about a week because I wasn't active.
No.
As soon as we did it, when I was getting out of the hospital, I got a new one, and then I hated the paste. It just stung.
Yeah, over time you figure out what works and what what doesn't work. But at the hospital, they didn't know anything. I don't know if this was your experience or not, but
kind of. It wasn't. They were pretty good, but I had similar experiences.
We did not I know that there are ostomy nurses now because one of my girlfriends has since become an ostomy nurse, but we did not. I mean, our hospital is amazing. He has an amazing team of doctors now. Zero complaints about that. But after his surgery, the poor nurse, it was like she was handed something that she was completely clueless about, and so were we. Yeah. So we literally left the hospital with zero information or supplies.
Yeah.
And we were just kind of left to our own. And I had to, for I'd say probably the first 6 or 8 months, I was strictly doing all of his bag changes for him. But I'll hear him get up in the middle of the night, and he's had a leak or something. And I'm like, Carson, you okay? In the bathroom? And yeah. He'll come out and he's changed his bag. So he's really good about it now, but sometimes I think he just likes to be kingy and he likes to get the royal treatment and have me change his bag for him.
Oh, yeah.
If I had something right now, I would not do it. I'm just so tired. Probably fall asleep in the middle of it.
He says it's relaxing.
Soak it up, Carson. Soak it up, man.
It's satisfying, though, just watching every layer just go put on that, and then put that on, and that, and I'm done.
Yeah.
Satisfying.
That's awesome. I'm really close with my mom. She helped me with a whole lot of things. And you're not gonna be young and so cool with being vulnerable your whole life. So just enjoy it.
Yeah.
What was the hardest part about having the ostomy for you, Carson?
Couldn't play for a long time.
Like outside and stuff, or
Huh?
like you couldn't play outside, or what do you mean?
Yeah, I would wanted to play outside with all my friends and go to school and see my friends. And as soon as that happened, was it in third grade that I got it? Yeah. And then as soon as I came back, I had to do a big speech about it.
You didn't have to.
I wanted to.
Yeah.
I wanted to. I didn't have to, but they said if I wanted to, I could.
Yeah.
Then yeah.
So what was but he's asking you, like, what was the hardest part about getting your ostomy? Like the recovery or just the unknown of it?
The recovery was just bad. It was painful.
Has it mentally done over time? Have you had struggles with it?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't really know what to say. So I'm just saying, yeah.
Well, after mine, initially, I had a very hard time with all my problems were back there, and now they're all up in front of me, and I had to look at it. And now it became other people's problems also. And that was really hard for me. I also hated that the bags that I was getting were clear. I hated that. It was just so, that's all I thought there was. It grossed me out. How in the world could I find a wife? How in the world could I date? I mean, I was devastated by a lot of that just because of the repulsiveness of our problem, right? Of bowels. And I was older. I wasn't a young kid. So the world's a tough place, and it had broke me. And I was looking at myself through the judgmental eyes of the world, and I didn't like what I saw. And I actually then realized that's my version, right? That's me judging myself. And so that's kind of the dance I kind of had emotionally for the first year, was kind of realizing, wow, okay, now I can get on with life. I'm good.
Yeah. Carson goes through phases or actually wouldn't even say it's phases. He'll have days where he, as he's getting older too, life's changing a bit. Then he gets in these, I hate my ostomy. I wish I didn't have it, things. But I think the positive thing about it is the time frame of when he got it. Yeah. Because had he gotten it early on, that would have been really difficult for me. That's a selfish way of looking at it. It would have been really hard for me to have to manage that because I see so many parents with babies and stuff, and they're just constantly online, just at their wits' end because their skin breakdown for these little babies that are wearing onesies and, and being a little bit older, but not quite at that age where you are that self-conscious about how you had to go through that idea of how am I going to date? Who's going to, those kind of things. He got it so early on, and all of his friends are so great. We live in a pretty small community, and he's lived here his entire life. And so all of his friends have known that Carson, has since kindergarten, almost every year been hospitalized multiple times throughout the school year. Yeah. So they know that about him, and none of them are judgmental. He doesn't have to deal with any of that side of it. So I think mentally he's been able to kind of grasp what he has and move on with it. I think that at some point there will come, a few other things as life changes for him, but he's got a pretty solid head on his shoulders about who he is as a person. Yeah. He's pretty solid in that. What? You're just nodding your head.
You know, you'll probably, I could very from firsthand experience say that the hardest thing for you is going to be you will be your own worst enemy because you have such a great support group with your friends and things. You will be competing with them you'll see them succeeding and you succeeding as well, but also overcoming all your health stuff. Or you'll be seeing what you're battling at home, and then you show up to school and it can look like they don't have any problems. Like I think all the time that I'm glad I have Crohn's. I'm glad I have an ostomy. I can see all my problems. I know what they are. And all of my friends I don't know what their problems are, they have them. I just don't know what they are. And so it can be very easy to kind of put yourself in a box. So having a good support group is huge, but don't let that get a hold of you and be your own worst enemy there and compare yourself.
Right. We've had that conversation several times where he'll say things like that, like, you know, nobody else has these issues and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh no, they may not have those issues, but guess what? So-and-so has this going on, but you don't realize it, or that, you know, and so.
The coronavirus is happening.
Yeah, the corona.
That's right. That's right. Speaking of the corona, how has being in school from home, dealing with, I mean, you're used to isolating from friends, but I mean, how has it having to literally in a real way kind of stay put for a while? How's that affected you, Carson?
I don't really know. It's really weird. I'm missing my friends. It's like, I don't know how to say it. It's just really weird.
Are you doing Zoom videos and stuff like this with them at all for classes and things, or no?
Yeah, I have a website that I go onto and I get to see my friends on there. I get to play video games with them sometimes, but not all of them are on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so health-wise, it's really, this corona thing has been kind of weird and eye-opener for me with him. Health-wise, I feel like during this time frame, this is the healthiest, and he'll even say, like that your body doesn't hurt as much now as it does on days that you go to school, huh?
I'm not playing that much, that's why.
Yeah.
I play it constantly at school.
Yeah. So he's not having like the flare-ups that he normally will have, and he's not waking up in so much pain.
I can sleep in.
Well, yeah, he's getting to do a lot of sleeping, which is part of, I mean, kids with Ehlers, Danlos, I'm on several like parents with kids with ostomies, or like parents with kids with Ehlers, Danlos little websites.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a thing. They're tired. They're like chronically, their body is running on adrenaline at all times because it's fighting to stay like in place and stuff. And so they're constantly tired. And so I think because we're home now and he doesn't have to rush off to school, he's able to sleep in or, you know, go to bed super early or take a nap during the day. It doesn't really bother him. So health-wise, he's really doing really well. Mentally, though, he's struggling because he's very social, so he's missing his friends a lot.
Yeah. Well, remember that, Carson. Slowing down makes you feel better. I'm just going to say it. That doesn't mean I'm going to take my own advice.
Right.
I'll tell you, even today, when I get up to go to work, when I do anything, I make myself get out of bed, and because the world is waiting in my mind, I run on adrenaline, and I just go, and I'm game for anything, absolutely anything. I mean, I'm a yes guy, and then when I get home, it's like, I mean, I'm out.
Yeah.
All my energy was spent outside of this house.
Is that you?
I have to walk home from school. I'm just like, all right, I'm just going to sit on the couch, watch a show. I fall asleep. 10 minutes later, I wake up, And I'm like, oh, Mom does cool, and I act natural.
Natural. I wasn't sleeping. No.
No, hey, Mom. I like, oh, Carson, what were you doing? I was like, I was not sleeping.
Yeah, his friends are always like, Carson's the first one to fall asleep. Or one of his friends is like, Carson can fall asleep anywhere. We get in the car and he's asleep.
That's hilarious. I do that in movie theaters with my buddies now. We go to the movies pretty regular. Well, not now because of COVID. Thanks, COVID.
Right.
But
yeah.
before, when I'd go to the movie theater, I'd fall asleep. I'd go see
That's what I mean. Oregon.
Yes.
We went to the movie theaters to go watch the new Godzilla, and like I was like maybe 30 minutes left of the movie, and it was like the best fight scene. Nope, I fell asleep, and they're waking me up. They're like, all right, here's the best one now. I'm like, I promised my mom I want to fall asleep. I'm like,
except his cousin said he maybe lasted 15 minutes into the movies. And Carson claims it was the last 15 minutes of the movie.
it was the last 15.
Yeah. You don't snore either, Carson.
Right.
Oh, you don't want to. I wake my friends up. I spent the night at one of my friends' house, and they come over to sleep at my house. And I'm on the couch sleeping, and then they're on the other side. I wake them up at summer camp. Like, I wake them up in the house. I'm waking her up because I sleep talk. Like,
Who are you talking to, Carson?
Yeah.
That's pretty good. What's what one food that your mom fixes messes you up, but you love it?
nothing.
Nothing? You can eat it all?
That's the weird thing. You can eat almost everything, huh?
I've eaten grass.
No, I mean for your
Oh, okay.
Like, does it make you gassy, or does it
I
like what
love
foods?
hummus.
Yeah, really nothing, huh? He's really fortunate.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, nothing really
cool.
like gets him.
I got a stomach like a steel trap.
Occasionally, like broccoli, he'll wake up and he's like, his bag is like gonna explode.
Yeah. How often
Yeah.
do you
What about you?
So I love, and I'm at the point where it hurts so bad
Oh,
that I almost just can't have it. But I did it again this year. It's my mom's homemade carrot cake, and she makes it on Easter. And it is the best carrot cake ever in the whole world, ever, ever, ever. And I love it. And I had a little piece, and it ruins me for a bad day. And it's totally worth it until it's not.
yeah. Till you're doubled over and you're regretting it.
That kind of what happens is my dad will get me a lot of hot wings, and I'm like, oh, okay. And I get like maybe 5 wings down. My 6th one, I'm halfway there. It just, right then, it just like stopped. And I'm like, I want to eat this. And then I keep eating.
Yeah.
7th wing, I'm just all like, and I'm like, all right, I'm done. I just walk away, just go play some video games. I'm like, all right, I'm done.
Where do you eat wings at? Where's your favorite place to eat wings?
Anywhere.
Anywhere, like Pizza Hut. You'll go to Buffalo Wild Wings. You don't have a favorite local spot?
Wild Wings.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much his go-to. Anywhere he can get buffalo wings, he's getting himself some buffalo wings.
Pizza Factory, we have one on our close to our street, and whenever we get a monthly free pizza, and I was like, hey Mom, instead of, can we say if we cannot get a free pizza, can we maybe get some hot wings? And she's like, no, we're gonna get pizza and we might get hot wings, but I mean, like, it's not really. I don't like hot wings, but
That's awesome. I love hot wings too. My wife doesn't like them all that much, so if I get them, I usually have to eat them all, but that's fine with me.
Yeah.
Don't fall asleep on me. Hey, real quick. So one last kind of serious question, then I got like 5 quick ones for you that'll be really quick. How have you seen Carson and yourself? What area have you noticed yourself grow and become stronger, whether it's because of dealing with this, from having your health issues? Have you seen yourself get stronger in one area or another because of what you're going through?
Talking.
Talking about it. You're caring about what you're going through and helping other people with it.
Yeah. I feel like ever since this and ever since back in 3rd grade when I had to talk in front of the class, right then I was like, I can speak. Like that,
About
right?
it, huh?
Yeah, it was like I never thought I would do that, and then I was like, my mom's like, you could be what's it called?
Motivational speaker.
Yeah, and she's like, you could do that. You would be really good at it, and I was like, I would be really good at it, and ever since then, I was like, I could do that.
Yeah, he thought he would never want to like share any of it, like tell people. He was really embarrassed in the beginning about how, like, outside of his friends could know, but he didn't want like
The world to know.
You know, the ladies at my shop to know or want to talk to him or something like that. But then after he had that conversation and outwardly spoke about it, and he even told me that day after school, after he outwardly spoke about it and he saw the reaction that he got from the kids, it was like, yeah, game over. He openly will talk to anybody about
After
it.
that, everybody at recess, everybody was gathered around me and they were like,
Yeah, let me see.
Pretty cool.
Huh?
let's see.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah.
You should start a podcast, dude.
Um,
Yeah, I mean it. You should. It's easy.
It's easy, he says. One more thing for your mom to run, huh?
That's right. You only need a couple of mics. You only need a computer and maybe some little deal. I have a guy that does all this, so maybe a little deal that passes all the sound and stuff through, and then you pay an editor, and then it's done. It's simple.
Totally. Carson,
Yeah.
you should get on that.
Yeah, it's not like $1,000 a month. I make that kind of money every day.
No, but from a very simple standpoint, you could just turn your Zoom deal on and do one without editing and just do it straight through. I mean, you don't have to get that technical about it.
That's a good idea.
I'd think about it. Why not? I think
Yeah.
you should call me up
Why
on
don't
the podcast.
Not on Zoom, though. Or do you do it on Zoom or do you do it on like?
No, his is on. Remember on our
yeah.
like we listen to him on the podcast.
Yeah.
I do it both ways. So like this one is on Zoom, and so Zoom records the audio and the video, and then I'll do one for the podcast on the audio side that'll go to that site, and then this video will get uploaded to YouTube that you see here.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So then
What's your YouTube channel called?
What's that?
What's your YouTube channel called?
The Ostomy Guy.
All right.
We follow him.
Oh, I don't have them on here.
You need to subscribe. You should subscribe.
I think we did. I'm pretty sure that we
did.
yeah. I don't know if you know, but yeah,
I didn't
I'm pretty
know
sure
that. I could subscribe on this.
Yeah.
That's better. Now did yours change? Mine changed to side by side. That's better.
Yeah. But it's okay. We're good.
How have you, Haley, noticed? Would you say the same thing, or have you noticed a different quality that has shown up and grown in Carson in dealing with all of this?
I would say since he got his ileostomy, I have seen other changes, just that he has become like a bit more compassionate to other people that maybe have differences in life. And a little bit more like tolerant of, I don't even know how, I really don't even know how to explain it. He's just, it kind of balanced him out a little bit. He's super good at things. He's one of those kids, like the day we taught him to ride his bike, we took the training wheels off and he went. You give him a bat, he's great. Like, he's just somebody who naturally is just, most things that he tries, he's just good at it.
Except for math.
Okay, except for maybe academically. School, he's a little too social. He's like his mom. So he's a little too social in school, but he's just, and so I feel like this kind of brought him to a level of just compassion and understanding of other people. Also, he did come out of his shell a little bit more. He's very talkative, chatty with his people, but he can be very shy in situations where he doesn't know people. But having this and having his ileostomy and talking about it more like on social media, I have seen a whole different side of him where he's just kind of matured a lot faster as far as like conversation goes. Even his teachers and school staff will tell me, we just had a big Zoom, all of us, and the principal and vice principal and the office ladies were like, I've never met a kid like Carson that will walk up to you and say, hey, how are you today? What are you having for lunch? Or like have a two-way conversation at 10, 11 years old. He's just learned, I've seen that growth in him, you know, just learning to conversate more.
That's awesome. You should do, so on your YouTube channel, you should do, maybe not, it's up to you, but I think you should video doing bag changes and things like that, because I think older people would watch a younger person do it as well. I mean, I think it'd be more likely, but I think there's so much in regards to.
That's what we do.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Okay. So you have the.
We haven't done one in a long
No,
time.
he's meaning like you do it yourself
Oh.
instead of me doing
Yeah.
it. You do one and like talk it through. That's a really good idea. Like showing how you can do it yourself at 11 years old. That's really good.
I think even if you did it more than once, I think there's a lot of value in you just showing and displaying in a mild way, kind of how you just nonchalantly deal with it, like we all do, right?
Yeah.
But I think you, in just the way that you are with your personality and things, I think there's a lot of value in you kind of doing that. I think there's a need too, which is the biggest part of it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Okay, so I got a couple other questions. You ready?
Yeah. Okay.
Have you guys gotten much takeout since COVID started?
Not a ton. We live in the country.
Okay.
So we don't live right in town. So we haven't had a ton of takeout, huh?
What's takeout?
Like to-go food?
Oh.
Cars.
Okay. No.
Answer the question.
No, we have not had a lot.
You have not?
No.
Okay. If it was, it'd probably be wings from Buffalo Wild Wings. I was going to ask you where your favorite takeout place is, but if you've just been hunkering down and eating from home, what's your favorite thing that you've been eating at home?
Sandwiches.
He does love him a good sandwich.
All right, Carson, have you played any ostomy pranks on your brother?
No, but I do that a lot with the nurses at the hospital.
You do tell it. Like what?
So my family would bring in like rubbish snakes or like rats, and then I would hide them around the place, and I would put one next to the hand sanitizer, so when they would leave, it was so funny. And not like now like when we would leave, now everybody would like see like, oh, this is the kid who pranked the nurses, and it's like it's like weird. It's like,
yeah, so that's not, he was asking like ostomy, like if you're, oh, my bag leaked or something, but.
Oh yeah, I did that to my brother once, and I was outside and I had mud in my hand like, Bryson, I leaked.
But he did do those pranks on the nurses several times. He's like, we've brought in like little rubber rats, snakes, and spiders.
Oh,
and yeah, he's like, before we go in, he's like, okay, let's take these. And he's had nurses from like several other floors. Like, we had to come and see the kid that everybody's talking about at lunch that's pranking all the nurses. And yeah, they go to reach for the hand sanitizer and there's a snake hanging there. I mean, screaming. It was good.
It gets boring in there, doesn't it?
It does, huh? It gets boring in there.
Oh, yeah. You just gotta spice things up a little bit.
Who's your favorite pro athlete, Carson? Do you have one? Do you have a favorite sport?
Yeah, baseball.
Okay.
I think Buster Posey.
Yeah.
That's me and my other friend Carson. So that's me and his favorite baseball player.
Why? Is it the team? Is it the
captain.
player? Huh?
He's a catcher, and I'm a catcher, and it's just.
So I don't know, it was in one of my podcasts, whether you listen to it or not, I don't know. I used to be a catcher, and one time I was catching and the guy was stealing third, and so I went to go throw him out at third, and the batter didn't duck, and I threw the ball right at his head and caught him right here on the side of the temple, on the side of his head, and he just fell flat to the ground. Ambulance had to come and take him to the hospital. He was knocked out. I was like, oh my goodness. Yeah, dude. True story.
Oh. That's crazy, huh?
Be careful when someone's stealing third.
I've sprained someone's wrist, but like not like that. I never knocked someone out.
There's still time. There's still time.
You almost took off your pitcher's head trying to throw to second.
Oh yeah.
Oh shoot, yeah.
My baseball coach hit the ball so hard that it broke the net, and then he fell back.
Yeah.
Jeez. So Carson, did you know that Mother's Day is coming up?
Yeah. My mom's birthday was yesterday.
What'd you do for her?
I made her a flower pot.
Oh.
Yeah, and it matches the house right now. I don't know if she's gonna repaint it.
It's
or something.
right here on my table. I love it. Oh, yeah, he made this for me.
Oh yeah. Well, look at that. An example for all the young men out there who think chivalry is dead. It is not in the Kelly house. No way.
That's right. Raising a gentleman here.
That's awesome. Okay, so this is my last question. And what is so there's a lot of older people that get ostomy surgeries, Carson, and it breaks their world. Like they become so insecure. I was one of them, and I was 23 years old, my man. And I have a number of friends, people in our ostomy awareness group here in Wichita that just really struggle with it. And I would like to know what advice you have, or what do you have? What would you say to somebody who's struggling accepting their ostomy right now?
Just try to for me, sometimes I go on with my life and I'm all I'm playing something and I don't even know that it's there when I'm having such a good time with people. And when I tell them it's there, I just feel a lot better that people will know and they won't make fun of me about it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Distracting, like if you sit there and hyper focus on it, it's all you can think about. And a lot of times you don't want to go around people because of your fear, but it's actually going around people and getting out of the house that is what liberates you and frees you from that slavery of thinking, oh my gosh, everybody's going to judge me.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Bravo. Really what about you, Haley? For any moms out there that have a child who's recently diagnosed with EDS or has just gotten an ostomy, now that you're you have a presence on social media, there's several kids and parents who are dealing with some of the same things. And what would you say to someone this is all new news and they're just really struggling accepting and dealing with it and don't have any answers?
Yeah, I feel like, what has worked best for us is being open and talking about it. We're big talkers and communicators. And so when you're having a fear about something, talk to each other about it and be as upfront as you possibly can, like knowing your child, obviously, with them about what's up ahead. It opens you up to be able to deal with it. It opens them up to be able to deal with it. And finding a support group within your people, somebody that you can just go to when you're having those really bad days, that's just going to let you just live in that moment.
Yeah.
And I feel like just research as much as possible and realize that your life is not over. That's what we thought, was our life is going to drastically change. It's like having a newborn is how I kind of look at it.
Yeah.
You don't allow that newborn to control you. They have to now live in your world. You're not going to live in their world. So your ostomy, your Ehlers, Danlos, whatever it is that you get a diagnosis on, it needs to now come and live in your world. However that changes for you, but you still have to keep being you and your family, or, you know, whatever, and just continue to live your normal life as much as possible with whatever it is you're dealing with.
That's awesome.
Change too many things for that stuff, then that changes who you are as a person.
Right. Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
If it's possible, I know that sometimes you get like those things that you just can't, you know, your life does have to change. But if you can just try and continue to stay in the core of who the people are, who you are, you know, and have it kind of just roll with you. Just getting an ostomy doesn't mean that you can't be a catcher anymore. Carson was like 8 months post-op and he was out catching, and his coaches were crying because they thought he would never be out there catching again. You know, plays indoor soccer, which is like hockey practically. You know, it doesn't have to research enough to know that it doesn't have to really change your life that much.
It's fun making people cry because you're awesome, isn't it, Carson?
Yeah.
But it makes him cry. He's pretty emotional too. So nobody really cries alone in Carson's presence.
That's cool. That's really cool. Well, thank you very much for coming on. I really appreciate it. This was awesome getting to know you both. I learned a lot, and I am inspired by the peace that you have so quickly in regards to your optimism with dealing with all of it. And so I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, thank you so much. We've really enjoyed your book. We read it when he was in the hospital in December, I believe. I read his book. I read your book to him out loud while he was laying in the bed. And it really helped him at one point. He was having a really bad day, and we got into one of the parts where you did mention how you had like gone to dinner or something like that, and you had to leave a work meeting or something, and then how you felt like you should just tell them about it rather than hiding behind it, just outright tell them what's going on. And in that moment, he really kind of broke down and was like, it's so true, you know? So you've helped him a lot too. So we really appreciate that. Your book has really helped him because it goes back to that child aspect for him, and being somebody at home and being a different person at school or whatever. So we appreciate you very much.
Well, we're taking over, Carson. There's soldiers like us all over the place, man. I think you need to start a podcast, and I want to be your first guest.
Okay. Yeah, the ostomy guy and ostomy boy. I like it.
That's right. That's
Fine
awesome.
together.
Well, hey, tell the listeners really quick where they can find you, where you are on Instagram and your YouTube channel and everything.
Well, on Instagram, you're the ostomy boy. On Instagram, he's the ostomy boy, and on YouTube, his YouTube channel is called Talk the Walk.
Talk the Walk. Okay. Very cool. Thank everybody for listening. I really appreciate it. Hopefully our sharing of stories is what begins to liberate all of us from feeling alone, because that's one of the biggest traps that we can kind of fall into. So sharing our stories is huge. Do it at home, do it with your family, do it with your friends. Find me on the Ostomy Guy webpage, theostomyguy.com, and you can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all those fun places. Thank you guys very much for listening. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And hey, see you guys.
Bye.
Bye.